Coming soon on UBC.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Daddy, surprise! Here is a pizza for you. Happy birthday to you!
Daddy, you look not impressed. My daughter, this is not meaningful to me. Hallelujah Natural Drinks is my ideal gift today.
Hallelujah Ginger Tea Drink and Hallelujah Tamarind Drinks are the most perfect, nutritious and healthy products that help everyone to boost their immune system to get complete relief of most sicknesses like joint pains, cough, diabetes, blood pressure, easy digestion and many more, and certified by UNBS. For orders, find us at Bifro House on Sir Apolokagwa Road, opposite MBI. Hallelujah Natural Drinks, perfect for your health.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Alright, indeed it has been a wonderful week of holiness, a wonderful holiday of holiness. 40 days ago we started the Lent period and we were observing Lent for the longest time. And during the time here in Good Morning Uganda, of course, we were observing Lent by sharing a scripture every single day so that we can help you walk the journey of letting go of something, sacrificing yourself in preparation of the Easter festive season. And the good news is that it came on Good Friday. We had the pleasurable honor of actually having Good Morning Uganda Special Friday at St. Paul's Cathedral in Namirembe. What a wonderful time we had. You too enjoyed it yourself, and it brought more meaning to what we were observing, and that was Good Friday. And then come Saturday, Sunday, he spent 3 days in the grave, and on the third day he rose, and yesterday everyone was in the worship services. Everyone was dining and feasting and laughing. Why? Because he is risen. And who are we talking about? Jesus Christ himself. Well, the festivities do continue because today is Easter Monday. So good morning to you, Uganda, and happy Easter Monday. My name is Priscilla Naloga, and yes, we are here to do it as we always do it from 6:30 to 9 a.m. every single day, Monday to Friday. And I'm joined by Robert Nyonyintono Chirabo. Good morning to you, Robert.
Good morning, Priscilla. Happy Easter Monday.
Happy Easter Monday. The one question is, where does Easter Monday come from?
Well, Easter Monday, after Jesus resurrected, you remember that he appeared to his disciples.
Yes.
And that is what we usually refer to the day of Pentecost, when they were still fearing, not knowing the next step to do. So he surfaces, and then there many were anointed. Many knew now they were given the courage and strength to take on the mantle that Jesus Christ had begun at his ministry at a very tender age. But also he talked of the events of Easter. Well, this time around, Easter was also marked with fear and grief caused by death. That is after the death of the Archbishop of the Catholic Church in Uganda that occurred on Saturday. So we had a bit of mixed reactions though it was better off than what we had the previous year, because if you remember, the previous year at this particular time we were in lockdown, places of worship were not opened, but this time we come to Easter where we only observe standard operating procedures, but that was also another element. And of course we continue to mourn because today we begin the official 4 days of mourning of the late Archbishop, and then he'll be buried on Thursday. But we'll be giving you this more of the tentative program. And
now you're jumping overhead. We need to first come back. So last year it was total lockdown, and I think there was no Easter, in all honesty. There was no Easter because it was just right into lockdown, and the days passed. No, and no one wanted to celebrate because there was so much fear.
But celebrated in a scientific manner. There was Easter because Jesus still rose and died.
How did you spend the Easter of 2020?
Oh, home with family. Home with family. We watched prayers. You know, those days we had adapted to services online, services on TV, services on radio. That was the order of the day. Churches tried to keep us with a few people.
Yeah, and you didn't move anywhere. You were not doing anything outside your household, which I believe wasn't the case this Easter, right?
Actually, this Easter, Priscilla, I was shocked that I saw a couple of hangout spots open. I was like, hey, what is happening? People have forgotten about COVID-19.
Let's talk about you. Let's talk about you. Where did you go?
Well, I spent Easter with my parents because I was left home alone where other people had to. There was a baptism somewhere, so I was alone. Then I went to my parents, and it was a good moment, meeting family, praying with them praying for me. I actually enjoyed every moment and catching up. You know, when you visit the old people, there's always something that you get, that they tell you, catching up with life. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, personally, I had like a long list of things to do to catch up with last year and also do this year. So I had to merge the two. So on Friday, I left here. I went and did some tour and travel and some sightseeing. Had a wonderful time in nature. Came back on Saturday. Then on Saturday, went swimming, health club, you know, steam sauna, ate food. Saturday, waiting for Jesus Christ to rise. Then when he rose, I had so much plans. We had a family lunch, then went to my grandfather's and my sisters, and I had with my nephew, and then I ate food, 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 I ate food.
You're lucky that food doesn't create hangovers. Otherwise, right now, Priscilla would be staggering because I ate food, I ate food, I ate food. I'm looking at a food hangover there.
Now, just be watchful. Maybe the end of this week, me and you might be wearing the same trousers. For where that food has gone.
For me, why I eat and relax, if only food could make me the height of Reuben. Well, I would eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. But
it depends on what food you eat. Now, if you want to be the height of Reuben, you have to eat like muogo. Tall food. Muogo, lumonde, kasori, you know, those are kind of food that you need to eat.
He has a challenge. Gravity fights him and gravity doesn't fight me. You know? The taller you are, the more you have gravity, forces of gravity fighting you, and the more you're shorter, it's like with cars, you're stable on ground. And
all right, we want to hear about your festive season and how have you spent your holidays, given that last year we were in total lockdown, but this time round we had the liberty to go to church in physical. I know my church opened up for the first time this Sunday, yesterday, and it was such an exciting and vibrant mood to just have church back, to be in church. Like, the feeling was so exhilarating, and I enjoyed it so much. Did I?
Did you put on your Easter best?
I tell you, nah, there was no time for Easter best. Yeah, those things are like for, like we are long overdue on those things. We're too old for
I'll tell you something, Priscilla, that is going to make you a bit funny. Me, I never go to church on Easter. I never go to church on Christmas. You know why? Because sometimes, if usually you church about 200 people, then on this time you're going to have about 400 plus. So I give the opportunity for the rare comers. Usually come with the Easter dress, best, Christmas best. They want to sit in the front pews. They are not used to the discipline in church. You know, they want to show off. Dude, what? So I usually leave it to that. Then I go back when the focused ones, we are in control. You know, the discipline of church, you know. These guys that usually just attend Christmas and Easter, they've spent the whole year. So there's so much of showbiz than reality. Yet for us, we're always there. We know the discipline of that church. We know how to handle the kids.
Could it be by any chance that it also, tallies with the fact that where you sit in church, you sit in a place for 2 people. So to save up space for others to sit, you rather stay home and not be inconvenienced?
No.
In your lordship, sir.
Actually, what happens is sometimes you have VIPs. And these VIPs, I love when I go to church, I want to sit in front. So these VIPs...
But Chirabo, by virtue of the fact that you're a PK, you're a VIP.
No, but what happens? Then someone I want to mention comes along and say, well, please, can we find room? Then they take me to the back where I can't even see properly. So I don't get the word very well. I want where I can have my hallelujah, amen, and I feel that everything proper. So that is why I leave it to those people.
Yeah.
And they keep on squeezing you, like, but where are you these other days? And what annoys me most is the time of giving, where you see them now trying to look for, and you wonder, didn't you come prepared? For us who know the discipline of church, as I leave home, my tithe and offertory are in my Bible. When I get to church and it's time, a cheerful giver. Because that is the most interesting moment of service, a time of giving.
Well, you speak of the time of giving, and you remind me of a time we once traveled to Kanungu district, and people from Kampala, they give them VIP treatment.
So you became the problem.
So we became the problem. Just even parking, they allow you to park in front of the entrance. Then they usher you straight through the corridor to the front of the church. Like, you feel embarrassed. Everyone is looking at you,
and most of you
just
come late.
Who are these people from Kampala? But Omrodi anyway. Yeah. So, but okay, of course you have to be smarter. Don't be late. Yeah. But for some reason, they still hold you back, wait for everyone to sit, and then they usher you in. That's the interesting thing. They must show that these are people from Kampala. So we get in front, we see it, and then every person who got to the pulpit to say something, could be the reverend, the usher, the musicians, the praise and worship team. Oh, we want to welcome our friends from Kampala. Kampala, 1, 2, 3, Kampala. If you like, he's like Jesus Christ has come himself. Now, you've talked about giving. The first time I experienced this whole giving thing was in Kanungu district, because for them, they don't have really cash. So usually it is their produce or their animals that they take to church and give in the house of the Lord. So I saw people carrying donkeys, goats to the pulpit. I saw chickens at the pulpit. I saw matoke at the pulpit. Lumonde, I was like,
Now, how does God consume that? Because we give to the Lord.
So what happens that at the end of the service, then they do an auctioning, then so people from Kampala buy these things, and then they give money in exchange for that, and then it's the money that stays with the church, and it does whatever the church had planned for. So for me, that was amusing. So every time we're going to a village, that is the one thing I'm excited to see. How do they do it in their
services? They drum. Etano murundi gumu. Etane mirundi eviri. Etane mirundi esatu. Kugumu satu tutute. And then then the Kampala people, you buy a goat of.
Okay, so we want to know how your Easter weekend has been, and you can do that by going on our social media platforms. On Twitter at UBCTV Uganda, hashtag is UBCJMU, and let us know how your Easter weekend has been. And also all those dramas on Facebook, UBCTV, we are live right now, and you can always give us a comment. We shall be able to check it out later on. Equally on YouTube, which is UBC Television Uganda, we are also streaming live. But as we're streaming live, we definitely want to get into the more serious business of the weekend. There were stories that made headlines and were all over town, both on the local scene and international scene. But we start off with what happened on the local scene.
Well, beginning with that is Easter prayers that were held at different places of worship throughout the country. We begin with Christians in Kampala Archdiocese celebrated Easter in a sober mood following the death of Archbishop Dr. Cyprian Kizitoranga. The Vicar General, Kampala Archdiocese, Monsignor Charles Kasivante urged believers to focus on Jesus' love when he died on the cross to save sins. Easter Mass usually comes with a pomp and excitement among the Catholics as they celebrate the risen King. But this year's Mass was filled with grief following the shock caused by the death of their shepherd, His Grace Dr. Cyprian Kizitoranga. On Friday, Archbishop Ranga was part of the religious leaders to lead the way of the cross at Namirembe Cathedral, only to be found dead on Saturday morning. Mass at Rubaga Cathedral was led by Vicar General of Kampala Archdiocese, Monsignor Charles Kasivante, who delivered the message the late Archbishop Ranga had prepared for Christians on Easter Sunday. Some speakers poured attribute to the late Dr. Cyprian Kizito Ranga. The Minister of State for Higher Education, Dr. Jesse Muyingo, asked Christians to live in peace with one another. 8 new Pope candidates and deans, including 3 ladies and 5 men, who were scheduled to be officially unveiled and awarded by the Archbishop, did not take place, but will take place much longer. Away from the Catholic faith, we now head to the Anglican faith, where the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, Dr. Stephen Kazimba Mugalu, urged Christians to follow in the footsteps of the risen Lord. He was delivering his sermon at All Saints Cathedral, Nakasero, in Kampala. The Archbishop, the Church of Uganda, His Grace Dr. Samuel Stephen Kazimba, also consoled the Catholic Church for losing the late Archbishop of Kampala Diocese, Dr. Cyprian Kizito Ranga. He was the main celebrant at All Saints Cathedral in Nakasero. Dr. Kazimba asked government to release all those prisoners, which would bring peace and harmony in line with the risen Christ. He also prayed to government to allow children to attend church after they were temporarily stopped for fear of COVID-19 pandemic. Women activist Maria Matembe also conveyed condolence message to the Catholic Church and the family of the late Archbishop of Kampala Diocese. Meanwhile, at Mamire Prayer Center International, Namugongo, Bishop Jacinto Chibuka conveyed condolence to the Christians of Kampala Diocese following the death of the Archbishop. At Namirembe Cathedral, still in Easter Festival, at Namirembe Cathedral, Kampala prayers were laid by the Archdiocese Bishop, Right Reverend Wilberforce Chichoruwalira, with a call for mankind not to fear death, but rather prepare for death. Easter marks the end of the Lent period among Christians. At Namirembe Cathedral, Kampala, hundreds attended the scientific festival. Namirembe Diocese Bishop Wilberforce Chichoruwalira presided over liturgy with the day's reading drawn from 1 Corinthians, emphasizing fear and grief caused by death, the death of a servant of the Lord. The Diocese Archbishop Dr. Cyprian Kizito Ranga topped Walira's sermon. There was also a reminder on COVID-19 pandemic. At the same service, the Buganda Luchiko Speaker Patrick Ruwanga Mungumbere delivered the Premier's message on Kabaka Ronald Muwenda Mutebi II's 66th birthday day celebration. Among the people in the congregation was the Naba Gereka of Uganda, Lady Slivia Najinda Ruswata. Now to the health sector, where health service providers have expressed concern over the increasing number of teenage pregnancy coupled with obstetric fistula due to the prolonged holiday and COVID-19. The number of women with fistula had reduced from 200,000 to 175,000 patients, but the outbreak of the scourge has changed the trend, with the numbers now shooting up, mainly teenagers. Health service providers are now worried that if government and health partners do not act fast to fight fistula problem, the campaign to reduce the scourge in the country will soon resurface. This is Teredo Women Community Health Hospital in Soroti District, where mothers who suffer obstetric fistula are treated and rehabilitated to regain their sanity and dignity in society. And finally, international stories, we look at government which is yet to finalize the Mining and Minerals Bill 2020, which targets harmonizing the mining sector industry. State Minister for Mineral, Sarah Opendi, told UBC that the current Mining Act of 2003 has gaps which affect the regulation framework in the mining sector. Uganda's mining industry is growing as investors join the industry. Currently, most youth are relocated to mining areas. However, government will start regulating the mining sector to improve service delivery. Currently, the Mining Act 2003 has gaps like the mining lease, penalties to offenders, status of staffing, and value addition. Sand and other construction companies are among the ventures the new bill will address. Sand mining is currently an open venture which is not regulated in any way. The bill 2020 is still at cabinet level and will soon be tabled before Parliament. Wow, those are some of the stories that we had in our local news bulletins. But Priscilla stands ready to take you through what we have on the international scene.
On the international scene, of course, we would like to say a big thank you to the Task Force, Ministry of Health, and God Almighty for having kept Uganda through the season of COVID-19. Now, globally, COVID-19 is in its second wave, third wave, and even fourth waves. In the UK, they're having lockdowns becoming lockdowns. Even our neighbors here, just in Kenya and Nairobi, are also going to be having another lockdown instilled. And so it's getting tough around the globe, and yet for us, so far, looking at COVID-19, everyone in England is to be given access to 2 rapid coronavirus tests a week from Friday under an extension of the government's testing program. The lateral flow kits, which can provide results in around 30 minutes, will be available for free at testing sites, pharmacies, and through the post. The tests are already offered to school children and their families, plus there's those who have to leave from home to work. The health secretary said the plan would help squash future outbreaks, but critics of the program say it risks becoming a scandalous waste of money. It comes at a time when Boris Johnson is due to meet the cabinet to sign off the next stage of lockdown easing in England, which will see non-essential shops reopen and pubs and restaurants start serving outdoors from the 12th of this month. Later, the Prime Minister will hold a Downing Street briefing where he is expected to outline plans for coronavirus passports to enable mass audience events to take place and confirm a traffic light system will be introduced when international leisure travels resume. Also, Mr. Boris Johnson hailed the plan to offer everyone testing from the 9th of April, saying, as we continue to make good progress on our vaccine program and with our roadmap cautiously easing restrictions underway, regular rapid testing is even more important to make sure those efforts are not wasted. Still on restrictions and COVID-19, India's richest state, Maharashtra, is announcing a stringent COVID-19 restriction from today after a rapid rise in infections, now accounting for more than half the daily new cases in India. The state, which includes the financial capital, Mumbai, will shut down malls, cinemas, bars, restaurants and places of worship from today evening. Authorities will also impose a complete lockdown on weekends. Nawab Malik, a minister in the state government, told reporters yesterday after a cabinet meeting. Malik said the government will also impose a night curfew across the state from 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. from Monday, allowing only essential services to operate during those hours. The state's chief minister, Udhav Matehekri, met with a group of top industrialists yesterday before announcing the new restrictions, according to a statement from his office. Devotees prayed outside the gate of a church during Good Friday celebrations in Mumbai, India, as coronavirus cases continue to rise rapidly in India, with a number of new infections nearly at all-time high on Sunday, largely driven by infections in Maharashtra. The country reported 93,249 new cases in just 24 hours yesterday morning, according to the data from the Federal Health Ministry. And this accounts for less than 1/10 of India's population, which has recorded 49,447 new cases. The state, according to Health Ministry data, has contributed 57% of the total cases and 47% of deaths in the country in just the last 14 days. Bringing it back to Africa, around 7 p.m. in the evening, A suicide bomber detonated himself at a tea shop frequented by the youth. This was spoken by the police spokesperson Sadiq Dushke, saying in a statement on Saturday. 6 people, 4 of them youth, a child, and the suicide bomber died in the blast. 4 others were wounded, the statement said. A witness said the bomber walked into a crowd who were drinking tea in an open area near a police station. I was getting out of a restaurant just a few hundred meters away from where the blast occurred. I was shocked by the blast and it was huge. I saw people rushing to the scene and wounded were being carried, said a witness, Ali Muhammad. Police cordoned off the area, but I saw several dead bodies carried away in an ambulance. There were young people, 2 of them from the neighborhood where I lived. The witness added, so far, no group has yet claimed responsibility of these attacks in Somalia. Now, Somalia is a country that is continuously being marred by so many suicide bombers. There's so much political tension in that region, Somalia and Ethiopia, and they're having these challenges. And also the fact that someone can actually still do this in this time and era, where we are having so many issues that are affecting the different governments, and then this was person just decides to commit their lives to death, claiming the lives of 6 others. Robert Shirabo, this Somalia story is not new to our ears.
Priscilla, whenever we talk about Somalia, what comes in my mind are gallant sons and daughters under the armed forces that are doing their best to pacify this country. But also you mentioned something very important, that you wonder why someone would actually become a suicide bomber. But there's something you must also understand, that sometimes people are indoctrinated into this and they are gotten at a very early stage. So we should all stand to condemn extremism in faith, in anything. We should condemn that. But there's also another question that always comes to my mind. And I think this the world is neglecting. Where do these people get weapons? You get it?
Yes.
You'll find that the Al-Shabaab will have sophisticated weapons. Where do they get the weapons? The world remains silent about the source of these weapons.
Shirabo, do you know that so much? If you went to YouTube right now and put in how to actually make a bomb, you would get ideas on how to make a bomb. And making a bomb, by the way, is very, very easy. You have the products within your reach. You can easily make a bomb. So the fact that there's this kind of information freely available to the mass public, it definitely can be a reason why we're seeing so many of these.
You find that there's what we have local-made bombs, but most of the times when this happens, you remember what happened at Chadon Rugby Club and Ethiopian Village. When they went out to investigate, these are not the homemade. When you look at some of these weapons, the rocket launchers, what they'd have, you're going to find that these are weapons that are actually imported. So I think it is time the world should look and investigate who arms these terrorist groups. But on that, of course, we now look at the safest drink for you to take that will boost your immune system. We're in a time we have 2 rainy seasons, and of course now we're in that time when we have rains at their peak and a couple of diseases come, colds, flus there, and cough. But once you've energized, that is your white blood cells, they're able to fight all nature of diseases using Hallelujah Ginger Tea and Hallelujah Turmeric Drink. This time I want to try the turmeric drink, and Priscilla is holding the Hallelujah Ginger Tea drink.
Well, these are natural drinks that you must have with you every single day. At least once a day, try the ginger tea drink or the tamarind drink. It is amazing, especially the tamarind. I used to be addicted to the ginger, then I met the tamarind. So the tamarind is my most favorite. Anyway, it's that time where we go into the song of the day, which we trust you're going to be enjoying. As we return, we're definitely going to be talking about our newsreel, and we'll be paying a eulogy to the fallen Archbishop of the Catholic Church of Uganda. It still is Good Morning Uganda, the 5th day of April 2021.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by
Tulantende ku program obulamu bwo.
was brought to you by...
No one should stop you from finishing what's yours. That's why MTN gives you data bundles that don't expire. Load MTN Freedom Bundles using My MTN app and enjoy the freedom to finish your data bundles.
MTN.
That's their way of stopping HIV. What about you?
Daddy, surprise! Here is a pizza for you. Happy birthday to you. Daddy, you look not impressed.
My daughter, this is not meaningful to me. Hallelujah Natural Drinks is my ideal gift today.
Hallelujah Ginger Tea Drink and Hallelujah Tamarind Drinks are the most perfect nutritious and healthy products that help everyone to boost their immune system to get complete relief of most sicknesses like joint pains, cough, diabetes, blood pressure, easy digestion, and many more. And certified by UNBS. For orders, find us at Bifro House on Sa Apollo Kagwa Road, opposite MBI. Hallelujah Natural Drinks, perfect for your health. Hallelujah.
was his time to read it out. And many did not understand that this was a document by a body that brings together all Christian faith. That is the Catholics, the Protestants, and Orthodox.
Yes.
So he was the man to be blamed. And said, how dare you come out and say we should postpone the elections? How dare? But this was something that was agreed.
A joint decision.
A joint decision.
Yes.
Though he took all the beatings there, and later he came out to clarify issues on social media. Actually, the late will be remembered in one of his last messages where he told Ugandans, please use social media right. I think we are losing it. We are over wasting a lot of time in nonsensical issues and, of course, accusing others. But let's first take a look at the biography of the man that now rests in the mortuary and will be buried on Thursday.
If anyone ever congregated for a homily at Rubaga Cathedral and never noticed the Archbishop, then that congregant is a liar. Whether on Christmas, New Year's, or Easter Day, alongside other religious days that fell on his calendar, he was always the man of the moment. Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga seems to have it all, ranging from intellect, devotion for Christ, and passion for morality of society. Just as nothing morally compromising crossed his path and he never kept quiet, anything done right always attracted his appreciation, irrespective of where it came from.
Nasomera mu Italy teri bubbu balina enkola ya otto per mille bwe bagiyita otto per mille ti buli omu buli sente olukumi lwafuna omulala kugenda ku ekereziya era ne bakola enteekateeka buli yenna gy'akolera gyeziva ne zigenda ku akawunti ebyo era zisobola okukola ku mirimu gyonna egy'ekereziya ffe tetusobola kukikola wano bannange.
Born on 19th January 1953 at Chabakadde Naggalama in Mukono, Dr. Kizito Lwanga attended Chabakadde Primary School and Nyenga Seminary. This was before joining Katigondo National Major Seminary in Kalungu District. He would then study theology at Gaba National Seminary. In 1979, he joined the University of Clermont-Ferrand in France, where he studied administration and languages. Kizito Lwanga later studied at Pontifical University of the Holy Cross in Rome, where in 1994 he earned a doctorate in canon law. Ordained priest in 1978, he was appointed as first bishop of Kasana-Luwero Diocese in 1996. 10 years later, he became the third archbishop of Kampala Archdiocese in 2006, serving for 15 years. A lot has been witnessed under his tenure, including celebrating 50 years of Rubaga Cathedral. He is a man who was always well acquainted with the current state of affairs, with the race for speakership of parliament not skipping his mind.
Maliza ngambagaliza tudumu enungi ate ne Easter enungi twati tuzikene mukama waffe Yesu Kristo nga bwe twongera okumwanjagira atuyambe eddiino lyonna ebitusomooza tusobole okubivuunuka.
It is quite a fruitful 68-year-old life's journey that has unfortunately ended at the cruel hands of the angel of death. Henry Okrut, UBC.
Thank you, Henry Okrut, as we look at the life of the man of God. a man who came from a humble background, that is in Chabakade village in Nagalama parish in Mukono district. He rose up through the hierarchies to become the first bishop of Kasanaluwero diocese, and later we also see him take on, that is from 206, as the Archbishop of Kampala diocese, till when he finally breathed his last breath, and that is being found in his room. That was on Saturday morning. It was shock, grief that comes with the fear of death. You know, you can never come to terms with death, more so when someone who was alive and kicking and participated in the war of the cross wake up all of a sudden and we got news. Actually, Priscilla, when did you first hear of the death of the Archbishop? Where were you? How did you receive this?
Actually, I got to know about it from one of the tabloids, the Nation's tabloids released it as a statement at about 11 a.m. the next day, when Saturday morning, and it was shocking. Because as you had said, on Friday we had a glimpse of him with the whole religious sector coming together, doing the way of the cross in memory of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, and he was among them. And then suddenly they tell you that the person you know just saw has passed away, and slipping away is what we would call it. Well, it is shocking, and I know that the entire country is still in shock of this news, because even just at the time at which it came in during its Easter season is also just adds grief to, you know, the whole picture of the passing of the Archbishop for the Catholic Church. And our hearts and prayers are with the Catholic faith, and we trust that the good Almighty God is going to see you through this tough, unexplainable time.
Well, I got the news. I was in a salon and I get a phone call from one politician. He's called Bukenya Church Ambrose. He's so a staunch Catholic. So he calls me and says, Chitaro, Archbishop Rangafude. So I just asked him, Ambrose, is this how far? Although you've stopped because of politics, how dare you call me? And all you're telling me is, the Archbishop, I told him, Ambrose, please, know what to speak, where to speak, and let politics not take you to the wrong direction. Yeah. So he tells me, I'm serious, I'm at Lubaga, people have gathered, and when I got the ambience, I noticed, yes, this man could be speaking actually something that is right. So I tried to look through their website, and there I saw a document by the provincial secretary stating that, yes, with shock, we announced the death of the Archbishop. Immediately, I called a few people and they confirmed that. But of course, like I said, person you've been with or you saw the last day, the previous day, now being told that he's gone, he's no more.
Now, speaking of which, as always the norm that we choose to celebrate the life of people that pass on, especially with greatness attached to them, such as this. And having gotten into the office of Archbishop since 2006 till his passing, he has done phenomenal things. He has been blunt, he's been outspoken, and he has always put his head and mind to where it's supposed to be and to whom it may concern. But as we celebrate him, Robert Chirabo, what are some of those things that you actually remember about the fallen Archbishop?
One, I remember him of his generosity and heart. There is what we call, people know it as Naruko Rongo Bakateyama. So when he took office in 2006, he made sure he expanded this place. Then also, he made sure that people that have served in church and usually have come to an age where they can no longer sustain themselves, they come up with a special home where these people can be kept and looked after. It's not that you retire because you're not a nun, you're not a priest, therefore, but there are those key people that may not be in these places, but of course have been devoted to the church and the work of God. So they would consider them. He was so much in fundraising and soliciting in the education sector. If you go to his village where he was born and grew up, he set up a school. Primary, secondary, the school is there and it's running. He's done so much to educate people from where he comes from, which sometimes doesn't happen with many people. You go and you don't look at the plight of other people. He extended bursaries under the Catholic Church. He was always ensuring that he broadens the base of people that are getting scholarships under the Catholic Church. It is under his tenure that we saw radio stations coming up for the Catholic Church. We saw TV stations coming up for the Catholic Church. He was an entrepreneur. He pushed so much the clergies to ensure. I know for the Catholic Faith, it's more of they look after you, even when after you've retired. It's not like the Anglican Church. So he made sure that the church comes out with a couple of projects that are income generating. Not just depending on cabo. Like he said in Italy, where he went, cabo is not even there. He always preached a gospel of tithing, that people should know that they should give. It's more blessing to give than to receive. But also, we can't forget him when it comes to the political scene. This is a man who came out to condemn, and many times he was seen as controversial. Remember that he met the president on a couple of times, and some of the times their meeting would always come to a time when there's so much pressure that the letters put up in his sermons. So to me, I look at him as a man who has been very entrepreneurial, a man who had a heart for the needy and poor. We see him as a man who was very much rooted in education. You know, he had a doctorate that is in canon law, but also he was good in language. So he had education. When we look at Rubaga Hospital, that is the Catholic hospital in Uganda, Cyprian Kizito Ranga made sure, I know we had the old building, but expansion to now a better. More services were being given. That is why now you can even go to Mulago and tell you such a scan is in Rubaga, scan is in Zambia. So in fields of medicine, he was also there. The only issue also, when we remember it came into COVID-19 vaccination, he was a bit skeptical.
Which is allowed, because
on Thursday, we had mass. I want to remember, that was on Thursday. They invited the head of Zambia Hospital. And he said, come and explain to us about this issue called vaccine.
Yes.
And he brought all the priests within that diocese. They met this medical expert to explain to them what the vaccine is.
And for me, you see, that's what I loved about him, is that he advocated and he always spoke up every time it was necessary. He was a voice to them that could not speak or could not reach the levels of you know, interaction with leaders on different levels, medicine, as you're currently having that conversation. Because the purpose of which is you don't want to lead people blindly. And he was one not to lead people blindly.
Which still that some people saw like, yay, why? Your colleagues, the Anglican has organized vaccination for all the clergy within the area. For you?
Yes, because for the Anglican has understood completely. But even me, I'm an individual first, as I am a leader. And I must equally also understand it at my own pace before I can actually advocate for my people, the followers of the Catholic faith, to be able to take on the vaccination. So really, he was not a person to just be doing things, you know, just randomly because he's a leader. But because he's a leader, he took it upon him as a personal concern to ensure that whatever he engaged in was emulative of the people that he led. But also, I like the fact that the Archbishop Cyprian Kizito Rwanga never shied away from politics. And so many, especially spiritual leaders, have most recently decided to shy away from politics. But he's one who always spoke if he had something to say. I remember the the New Year's message from the President, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, into 2018, where he talked about especially spiritual leaders feeling that they're the final authority or have the final say on matters that are going on in the country. And the next...
They advise them to stay in their lane.
To stay in their lane, exactly. And that weekend, in the celebrations, the Catholic Mass celebrations, the Archbishop came out to revert those statements and, you know, address the fact that they also have something to say about the politics of this country, about the governance of this something, and they will not be stopped from actually giving out their opinions on that matter, because they are also leaders in their different capacities. And so that forwardness, for me, it reminds me of Janan Luom. They somehow have the similar relation in terms of addressing issues that affected the people that they led. In the same sense, we had Janan Luom always speaking about the things that were happening within the communities that the kidnaps, the mysterious deaths. He was always speaking out bluntly
and of course
to the
his
authorities.
recent messages, if you look through them, much as he calls for peace, his recent preachings were so much of peace, but he also calls for government to come up and clarify and release.
Yeah, because he pushed a lot for
kind of
social advocate. He was social cohesion, you know, bringing things together, causing everything to just fall into place for the betterment of the entire country. He was calling for democracy to actually be exercised in the different offices of leadership. Now, a leader who can speak that way, definitely, of course, that is boldness, but also it gives his followers confidence that as he's leading them, he is concerned about their entire well-being, social, political, economical, infrastructure, educational, as you have mentioned it. So he was an all-round leader.
Very true, Priscilla. And one thing the Archbishop that had unique, most people look at the bads only. But this was a man who looked at both the bad and good. Where credit was due, he would give credit to government. Mostly in the COVID-19 times, where he would come out and say, we want to thank government for the way it has handled it. Where even the sheep he thought were going astray, he would still be boldly and speak. One time I remember recently during the heated political times when he said called for postponement of election. But he said, so he really came out. And I think that entire mass was more of social media issues. He talked of the bloggers, he called for responsibility on the social media. Let's be people of substance and value. Let's seek for peace, not create a disaster in the way we use social media.
But also there's something that you had talked about earlier on. As far as, you know, the Catholic faith is concerned, he made an altercation to how they do Holy Communion.
Where people were receiving the body of Christ. Of course it had become that people now just put their palms, and so he comes out and says,
they put their palms and they receive the holy bread on their palms, and then they eat it.
Then they may eat it. So he came out and said, in the Catholic faith, it is very important, the blessings, the authority for you to partake of it, that the priest really gets it and all you do is open your mouth and partake of it. So this is something that he doesn't even know where it came from. But it's not the way things should be done.
So he was a guardian of the originality of the doctrine of the Catholics. Okay.
So, and also, we must not forget that the Archbishop has done so much to keep the Catholic Church together.
Yes.
If we remember the likes of Father Anthony Musara, where we saw a time where some felt they were even leaving the faith. But you remember he was a man who would reconcile. That even at a time, now we see Father Anthony Musara still even being able to preach in Uganda Cathedral. When the late who died, he had made a name. I'm trying to recall him. He was kind of a musician, Mukajanga, if you remember Father Mukajanga. Also by the time of his death, actually also died in a similar manner. Okapa and Mukajanga is dead. So Mukajanga, by the time of his death, he had confessed that, yes, I met the Archbishop, we reconciled, we saw how we can move forward. You know, it's not easy keeping a faith together, more so in this era. But the Archbishop did all it took to ensure that we do not have so many fractions of the religious faith called the Catholic. And this we must commend him. Yes, there have been challenges where under his time we've seen priests like never before go political and to the extreme. For him, he had managed to keep within the boundaries. But that is one of the things that we also note, that if you remember around campaign time, we saw a couple of people going to the altar and use it to politicize completely. So that could be one or the other, something that maybe did not turn out to many compared to what the Anglican faith has done. But we can say he lived a life well spent. He was very principled. He was forgiving. He loved his faith. He loved his people and always stood to fight any evil.
And the things you've mentioned are surely going to be the tough ones for the next Archbishop to fill the shoes in, fitting in the shoes of the fallen Archbishop Cyprian Kizito Lwanga. As you've mentioned, the discipline, the principles that he lived by, the protection of the people he led, and the faith. I think for me, this is where death is important to us, because it leaves us with challenge. It causes you to, you know, reflect on your own self and find out, are you principled? Are you actually living by the law? Are you being guided by something other than yourself? And which is something that we saw coming from the life of the Archbishop. So the next Archbishop, surely he's going to have the challenge. He must be outspoken. Otherwise, it's been part of the fact that the reason as to why the Catholic Church has still stood firm up to this day and era, especially in Uganda, because it has had leaders that are bold to speak out on matters.
Actually, I must say that in the line of archbishops of in the Catholic faith, he stood out. Because when you look at his predecessor, he wasn't so much like that very vocal. But for him, he comes out, he's been vocal, he's been standing out for the truth. When you look at others, yes, Cardinal Suga, a few were vocal, but I think he mastered that art. And also he made a way of being in good terms with the government, because regularly visits State House, in government and also with the people. But Priscilla, I also know that people would want to know the tentative burial program of the late Archbishop Cyprian Kizito Lwanga, and we will take you through. You never know, for VIPs anything can change, but so far what we have from the office in charge of organizing the burial of the late, this is how it stands. That is according to the tentative program released, that is by the Catholic Church. The official mourning for, that is the deceased, will start today, which is Monday, and today there is going to be Mass, that is at 10 a.m. at Rubaga Cathedral. So the faithful will be heading to Rubaga for that Mass at 10 a.m., but the body will not be there. So this Mass, the body of the late Archbishop will not be there, but the faithful will be there. Then on Tuesday, the body will leave, that is Morago Mortuary, straight to his ancestral home, that is in Chabakade along Gayaza Road. There will be Mass at exactly, that is 10 a.m., and the body will stay overnight. The program will later be communicated on how affairs will be handled that day. Then on Wednesday, Archbishop Lwanga's body will arrive at Rubaga Cathedral, and followed by Mass at 10 a.m., and later public viewing in front of the cathedral. That is going to be Wednesday. On Thursday, burial will take place on Thursday, with Mass starting at 10 a.m. at the Metropolitan Burial Grounds beside Rubaga Cathedral. The tentative program forwarded, that is the national unit through the chairman of the Episcopal Conference. That is so far how it is going to be running. So we shall be having Mass all the way till Thursday, when he will be buried, and that is at Rubaga Cathedral, just next to Rubaga Cathedral, where almost many of them have been buried in the Catholic faith. You know, one unique thing about the Catholic faith is you become a property of the faith. You become a property of the faith once you take your first vows, then after other years, and then until you make that life commitment. Because along the way you can excuse yourself. There are some years of your vow and you go into something else. But as long as you make the 3 till at the time of death, then you become property of the Catholic Church. Even when you're buried, you're taken. There are specific cemeteries where each category is buried, and this is where we'll rest. His Grace's body will be buried. But so far, that is what we can tell you. But important also, we must remind Ugandans that COVID-19 standard operating procedures is something we should also abide by. Yesterday, I watched Mass at Rubaga, and of course, there was a moment of grief, fear, and shock. But it seemed that a couple of people had forgotten about this. And now if you're going to have 4 days of prayer, beginning today, it's something that we must also ensure that we emphasize. Then also something that came out was theft, pickpocketers. People come to mourn.
But pickpocketers are always part of the festive season.
But this is a mourning time, you know.
And it's, yeah, for them they have to make money. They have to make money, they have to make ends meet, and if they see masses, they can easily make a buck or two, steal something. Yeah, you see, even the Bible speaks of it. When God's children would congregate, yeah, even the devil's sons would also come along. So that one is not news.
So if you're heading there, please mind your valuables. Make sure your car is locked properly, whatever you're taking. We are in a time of mourning and grief, but of course opportunities are there.
Yeah.
And the criminal-minded people will also turn up for the same. Mass at 10 today, make sure your valuables are safe. You might find those that came to work within your pockets. But we'll still be informing you more of, that is the late Archbishop Ranga. Maybe just Priscilla to take you more, that is in the biography, in case you didn't get that right, who he was, where he studied, how his journey to the highest rank within the Catholic faith has been.
Born in 1953 at Chabakade village in Nagarama parish in Mukono district, Luanga attended Chabakade primary school before joining Nyenga seminary in 1964. Between 1972 and 1974, he studied at Katigondo National Major Seminary in the present-day Kalungu district. He then studied theology at Gaba National Seminary in Kampala in 1979. He later joined the University of Clermont-Ferrand, France, where he studied administration and languages, with particular emphasis on administration. And administration-wise, we can say he has done a commendable job. Later, he studied at Pontifical University of the Holy Cross in Rome, where in 1994 he earned a doctorate in canon law. He was ordained a priest on the 8th of April 1978 at Rubaga Cathedral by Cardinal Emmanuel Chiwanuka. He served as a priest of Kampala Archdiocese until 30th November 1996. Luanga was appointed the first bishop of Kasana Luelo Diocese in 1996, and in 2006 he was appointed the third Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Kampala, succeeding Cardinal Emmanuel Wamala, who had resigned then.
Wow, that is the man. And in case you want to look at some of the major achievements, just move through town. Look at that prestigious tower. That is the one housing Centenary Bank.
Yes.
You see that, you know, when a person goes, there are certain things that you can look at and say that they have been done under his tenure, under his part. Yes, you could have a vision, but the person who implements the vision, because the vision can live on.
It can be written and it can be kept in the archives, and dust is on for years and years.
It turns into a reality.
Yes. Yeah.
Is the person that would say yes, his leadership.
And Centenary Bank has actually changed the livelihood of people, not just Catholics, but now even the general Ugandan has been able to buy into Centenary because of how easy they've made it for Ugandans to be able to, one, save their money, but also convert their money into investments and be able to grow their financial spectrum, which is, again, a job well done.
Look at Centenary, look at Rubaga, the dignity of the Catholic Church. I think he's kept the dignity of the Catholic Church, where we've seen a priest as a priest. And the other thing I also want to mention about Archbishop Kizito Ranga the late, Priscilla, if you're to look 2006 backward, there is a new crop of priests that during his tenure has sprung up. They're looking at youth, energetic. Previously, a priest would be someone that is maybe aged to some level, but he has managed to bring the youth into the leadership of the church. He's managed to ensure that the church, the Catholic faith, does not lose meaning. You know, with the born-again faith springing up, this revival movement, we've seen a number of traditional religions trying to a bit divert and go more into the under the disguise that we are attracting youth into the faith,
being grabbed by the web.
Now let's also have the drums, let's also have this way of dressing, let's have, because majority youth
churches,
but he's always condemned this. He's always come out. That's why he talked about how to receive the body of Christ and said, no, the Catholic Church has pillars, has foundations. We are not going to be driven by the wave and we forget what we should stand for. That is why you see that some faith have gone unnoticeably ending up being diluted. And now one would wonder, am I in the traditional church or am I actually in the new wave that is happening? He's managed to do that. So for me, I'll commend him for having given the youth a platform in the Catholic Church, but also maintained the originality of what the Catholic Church believes in and cherishes. We'll all live and die, but what remains is the legacy. What have we done? What have we done? What lessons do we have when it comes to the Archbishop? Can we emulate the good that we've gotten from him? More so standing out for the truth at every time that we get to speak out. I see Priscilla holding Hallelujah turmeric drink.
Yes, the tamarind drink is ready for you to drink at only 1,500. You can get it from any kiosk or any supermarket next to you, and you are guaranteed that it's going to sort you out, especially in this Easter season. I have eaten a lot of food, and I know I'm not alone. I know that you're there, and you're exactly like me. You're eating party after party after party. So you need to detox. You need to actually cleanse your digestive system, and these natural drinks are the perfect alternative to cleansing your body systems internally. Hallelujah ginger tea drink and the tamarind drink are the recommendations from us to you. Take it this morning, take it in lunchtime, take another one in the evening, and you'll be sorted. But otherwise, thank you so much for having started your day with Good Morning Uganda. Robert and Priscilla here. On our social media platforms, we are there and present, and we can't wait to hear from you. On Facebook, we're streaming live UBC TV, and you can leave your comments there. We'll be checking out the comments later on. But also on YouTube, we are streaming, and our YouTube channel is UBC Television Uganda. Thank you so much for the people in the diaspora. We have the Meandra family that is always watching Good Morning Uganda from our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for always clicking that button. On Twitter at UBC TV Uganda. Hashtag is UBCGMU. When we return, we get to look at press review. What is making headlines in the tabloids for the day, 5th April 2021? Can you believe? Just like that, we are in April. Next thing you know, it's going to be half the year. Next thing you know, we shall be having 9th October all over again. This time it won't be...
For people that have New Year's resolutions, this time, wow, we've just quit these things. Because actually you can even go into... You can get depressed because the way weeks are running, days, it seems they're no longer 24 hours. Maybe something is happening. But we'll return, like Priscilla said, and we'll look at some of those catchy stories in the print media. Good morning, and keep it with us on UBC TV.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Yes! Enjoy great value from Airtel with the all-new My Pakalast combo offers. We have customized especially for you the best deals on minutes, data, and SMS with our 3-in-1 My Pakalast combo to give you the best value as you stay in touch with friends and family. To activate My Pakalast voice combo, dial *100*2*1# to get started.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Daddy, surprise! Here is a pizza for you. Happy birthday to you.
Daddy, you look not impressed. My daughter, this is not meaningful to me. Hallelujah natural drinks is my ideal gift today.
Hallelujah Day. Hallelujah ginger tea drink and Hallelujah tamarind drinks are the most perfect nutritious and healthy products that help everyone to boost their immune system to get complete relief of most sicknesses like joint pains, cough, diabetes, blood pressure, easy digestion, and many more. And certified by UNBS. For orders, find us at Bifro House on Sir Apollo Kagwa Road, opposite MBI. Hallelujah natural drinks, perfect for your health. Hallelujah Day.
Wake up to Good Morning Uganda, weekdays on UBC.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios, this is Good Morning Uganda. It is intellectually engaging.
Court does not sit to waste its time. You have no defense, it chases you.
It is a ruling on the foundations. Business has been conducted in a certain way.
Banks take money from us, depositors. All of us seated here have got money in the bank. And even before you walk out, they've given that money to somebody else.
Deeply incisive.
The law enjoins us to be answerable to the sovereign of the country.
Members of the force, we have always been demanding officers to be highly disciplined and being accountable to people of Uganda.
Authentically symbolic and insightful.
We should work so hard to evacuate this power.
Behind the Headlines, every Wednesday at 10 p.m. with Charles Odongto.
Very welcome.
Probably the most experienced talk show moderator in Uganda, with a team of illustrious panelists. Honorable Margaret Mohanga, a veteran journalist, legislator, entrepreneur and development consultant, and Ramadan Gobi, an economist and university don.
I've really got perturbed that in Uganda we are building parties with no membership subscription.
All on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Hello, my name is Dr. Henry Dungu, a consultant in hematology and oncology. Health promotion and disease prevention programs focus on keeping people healthy. They aim to engage and empower individuals and communities to choose healthy behaviors and make changes that reduce the risk of developing chronic diseases and other illnesses. Join me on New Health Chat every Thursday at 9 p.m. on UBC TV. Sponsored by National Medical Stores, who are mandated to procure, store and distribute essential medicines and medical supplies to all public health facilities in the country.
This is Good Morning Uganda. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, happy Easter Monday, in case you're wondering why you're home, or the kids are wondering why isn't Daddy going to work. Today is a public holiday as we are still in Easter celebrations, right from Holy Thursday, Good Friday, then we have Easter, then Easter Monday. And that is something we are going to understand more in our GMU agenda segment. But let me ask my colleague a question. You know, office makes things a bit complicated, and sometimes there's some bills you save but went out. Now let me find out with Priscilla. Priscilla, when was the last time you bought a newspaper? Let's be honest.
Last time I bought a newspaper was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago?
Yes.
Okay, I was speaking to my dad yesterday, and he told me that one of the things on which I spend my money is buying papers.
Yeah.
But while I was still in office, of course you have papers. UBC always gives us papers.
That's what I'm saying. We always have papers available for us.
We have papers everywhere. So
unless it's a special pull-out that you need, and then you go and buy your own paper.
Then you go and you buy your own paper. So people in retirement, who are retired civil servants, Bambi, they spend a lot of their money.
That one, I tell you, my father, every single time he's driving out, especially when he's crossing there, he has his friend, a long-time friend who supplies him with the newspaper. In the middle of the, the line for the jam, he just hoots, and the newspaper guy knows that that is my customer. Brings the newspaper very fast, hands it over to him.
For him, he's lucky that he gets it in jam. But this one got a newspaper vendor, and they just drop them at home. So he was saying,
does he include transport in this dropping at home?
I don't know. He just tells me he pays a month.
I was like, that is good. No, but we need to be updated with what is happening, and what better way to find out what's happening if not in the tabloids.
So it tells me from Good Morning Uganda, after watching you guys, I now wait for my newspaper guy. Then he goes and sits under a tree, and I'm like, oh, retirement is also a time. And Mommy was like, so yeah, sometimes he buys them and reads them at night. Because it's been so busy.
Now, this is the whole combination. While your muzei buys it and reads it throughout the entire day, then your mother will give it to the house help to use it in the sigiri in the evening to cook food.
And you know where the
and then the next day, your father,
no, he wakes up and there's something he wants to compare. You know those old civil so it's like,
it is converted to the food.
Well, let's look at what the papers have today. We have the New Vision, and yes, church releases that is funeral program for Archbishop Rwanga, and they give you his last moments there.
All right. Still in the New Vision, education officials quizzed over 3.8 billion for student bursaries. 3.8 billion for student bursaries, several. First of all, we have not yet purchased COVID-19 vaccines for the entire country. Purchased, not the donations we got, but we have not yet purchased, right? Yes. The education sector still needs more. And there's quizzing for 3.8 billion for student bursaries. How are these bursaries going to work under the new normal? Because at Mackay University, just the first years who have joined the university, they have only done 4 weeks of school, then after that they go back home, residents, and they're doing online classes. So how does bursaries, how is it going to work this time around?
Priscilla, all things are possible. Lord, I believe.
Okay, all right. Indeed. There's also Easter special, President Museveni's message. You can read about what the state president is talking about there in terms of Easter as we come to the climax of Easter. The speaker race continues. MP's preferred deputy speaker by region.
I'm just praying we get to that day when the speaker is elected and we have enough of this nonsense. Because actually it is confusing, it is dividing. It is important, but you know, we've always voted speakers. Parliament has always had speakers. Yes. What is so special this time around? You know, why are we seeing verbal artillery?
This is, we are seeing Parliament after 100 years, so it is called evolution.
But I think where we are heading,
upgrading, system upgrade, software upgrade.
Mutuvuga speed.
Yes, katuvuge. Yeah, graduation, top Makerere female students share tips. Of course, you know, Makerere University graduates, so they're talking about female students and sharing tips on how they've been able to actually attain the heights that they've gotten through their education as far as tips is concerned. What tip would you share if you were a student graduating?
How we can join hands and come up with a business, something to start. Something to start.
That is not you, Shiravo. That is not you, yes.
Still, we look at today, they have brought for you Senior 3 Mathematics there, and Chemistry, Computer Science as well for long distance, and of course home studying there. The last memories also, he was in a jolly mood and made phone calls. That's
and then some people come out to say they want government to investigate his death. For what?
But you see,
for why? The man died a peaceful death. He rested. He slept. He never woke up. That is the most beautiful way to pass on from this earth.
And
then some politicians want to use
that
this
usually
to glorify themselves.
People that go to heaven die in that manner. But where you find someone screaming, kicking and struggling.
Your turn is coming.
Yeah, you're going to be that good. So usually when a person goes in that style,
I will be there, don't worry. I'll be there.
So I'm going to be there by my deathbed.
I shall play this.
That is extended relationships. So the whole is go that way. Yeah?
Yes.
And we should not actually, let's remain calm.
Yeah.
Let's remain focused. Let's know that our politicians will always take advantage of any situation. And let's remember that this should keep us more divided, more united. The Archbishop preached peace, and he was very clear regarding social media and loose talk. So if we really love the late Archbishop and were good sheep under his shepherdship, let's remember the words that he was very, very vigilantly spoke about more so in the recent times, how we use social media. Said, Mwavuma, you attacked me, you speak anything, let's use social media to unite us, not divide us.
All right, social media is also being used now and again to actually define the new normal, especially when it comes to virtual conferences, virtual expos. We had the Uganda Wildlife Authority, you had Tourism Board have a virtual expo. And so starting today, we also have the Money Harvest Expo for entrepreneurs, agriculturalists, farmers, people who are creative and innovative. It's starting today at exactly 9 a.m. on the social media platforms for New Vision. You can find them on their social media platforms for more details if you want to engage in this virtual expo that they're going to be having.
Where you'll be getting more techniques on how to improve your farming. But as we wind up our press review, Priscilla, there's something that is coming up in the UK, that is COVID-19 passports.
Yes, yes.
I'm like, COVID-19 passports. So for you to move, for example, to attend sports events, to attend huge crowds, you must have a COVID-19 passport.
Okay, so the irony of it is that you cannot know when you contract COVID-19. It's not like AIDS, whereby when they find you positive and you get it once and for all. The irony of COVID-19 is that you don't get it once and for all. You can still get it even after you've been vaccinated. It's just that when you're vaccinated, then you are less prone to death or any other issues that come about that. Also, when you get it first time, it might boost your immunity, so that next time you get it, it doesn't treat you as bad as it treated you first time. So this passports conversation is useless, honestly, because I will get the passport today,
and then there's also now
tomorrow
another
I will
issue,
get
the
the
traffic
vaccine.
lights for travelers in the UK, where they have green, they have red, they have also orange. So when it indicates green, so you can come and not quarantine. If at all you're coming from a country there in red, when you come, you quarantine. So they are taking something to another step, but all in the aim of ensuring that people are safe. But also to remind our viewers, Reverend Miwanda is already with us. He will be joining us shortly. That is from Bokoto St. Andrews, who is going to be giving us more meaning of Easter, even Easter Monday, to better understand its relevancy. For many people, some of these days are all about good clothes, partying, eating, but what is the actual relevancy of this?
All right, so that is going to be coming up on our Good Morning Uganda agenda this Monday morning. But of course, we know that you continue to enjoy these festive seasons. Greetings to people in Kajansi that are having an after party in the morning, and all of you that are having after parties this morning. Continue with us on Good Morning Uganda. Of course, later we'll be having sports updates coming through from Ruben Pima Chivirango, and of course, Good Morning Uganda Extra will be here. Jagena Semakola will be hosting the guests for the day. We continue on with Good Morning Uganda, and again on our social media platforms, we're looking forward to hearing about your festivities, how you have actually spent them this time round. On our Twitter at UBCTV Uganda, hashtag UBCJMU. On our Facebook, we are streaming, and you can leave your comment there on UBC TV.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by
Tulantende ku program obulamu
was brought to you by
No one should stop you from finishing what's yours. That's why MTN gives you data bundles that don't expire. Load MTN Freedom bundles using my MTN app and enjoy the freedom to finish your data bundles.
MTN.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Wait.
No one should stop you from finishing what's yours. That's why MTN gives you data bundles that don't expire. Load MTN Freedom bundles using my MTN app and enjoy the freedom to finish your data bundles.
MTN.
This is Auntie Jovita, your friend, your mentor, and a mother. We've been discussing teenage pregnancy. It is bad. Avoid it. And now we are going to address the girl who might be pregnant now, maybe as a result of rape. It wasn't her choice, but things have happened the way they've happened. We now have to accept it. You have to accept her in the home. You have to accept her in the family. You have to do a lot of counseling. You have to make sure she goes for her antenatal classes. Of course, the situation will never remain the same, but you have to accept her so she doesn't run away. Because when she goes away from home, it may result into other bigger problems. She might end up in a violent relationship. Just pick up your pieces to help her pick up her pieces too, so that she can achieve her dream and also see tomorrow with her bouncing baby. Stay safe. Teenage pregnancy is bad.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
It is Easter Monday and indeed a public holiday. Maybe one would be wondering, I know of Holy Thursday, I know of Good Friday, then I know of Easter. But what about Easter Monday? Well, this is what we are going to be discussing as we look at celebrating Easter amidst COVID-19. We are still in the Easter celebrations. Of course, the fear of death and grief that comes along is also something that we cannot leave out this time around during Easter. But with me in studios, I have, that is Reverend Canon Justus Miwanda Njagala, who is, that is the Reverend of St. Andrew's Church, Bukoto. That is where he ministers and does the work of God. He's a PK, and I always joke with him. I tell him, welcome PK. PK is an abbreviation for preacher's kids. You know, I always tell him that, well, you are a unique PK. A few PKs actually end up in ministry. But it's blessed to be a preacher's kid who also happens to be in ministry. PK, happy to see you.
Thank you very much. How are you, my brother?
I'm fine. How have
Actually,
you been?
you are supposed to be my uncle. Yes. Oh, I am your uncle. No problem.
No problem.
Everything is running well. You had a good Easter?
Yes.
With family? It was good for us also. Considering the fact that it was a special one. Last year, around this time, we were all locked up in our homes. Actually, I had a service with my family. We were 7 of us in our house. And on Palm Sunday, we broke branches from our flowers, from our flower gardens, and we sang and we had Palm Sunday. On Easter, we sat in our house, we had a service. So this Easter 2021 comes out to be special because we were at least allowed to be in our churches. Of course, the number 200 is still small, but it was better, and it is better than nothing. So we thank God for the possibility that we celebrate Easter this year in our worshplaces. Yeah.
That was one unique. That's why you called it special.
It was, yes, it was special. And even the excitement that came with it when the people came, that we are allowed to celebrate Easter in our worshplaces, that was very good. And we thank government and the Ministry of Health for making this possible, that we could worship with our people in our worshplaces.
Well, Reverend, as we talk about Easter, many people usually celebrate these days with eating, maybe sometimes partying, coming together as family. But let's look at the relevance and sequential flow of activities that lead us even today, being an Easter Monday.
Yeah, like we start usually with Easter Palm Sunday. Palm Sunday, we had branches, palms or any branch. Actually, even a piece of cloth would do. Because like the reading in Matthew chapter 21, it comes with you either a branch, a palm, or a piece of cloth. That would do. So that is the entry of Jesus into Jerusalem. Of course, the people then thought that it was a political entry, but it was a spiritual entry. Jesus came into Jerusalem like he had promised that he will come, he will clean the temple. So he was there. Then on Monday, it was Jesus was teaching, and he was moving between Jerusalem and Bethany. He always stayed in Bethany and came to minister in Jerusalem. And then on Tuesday, this is the time when he was asked many questions. There were many questions challenging him, challenging his power, challenging his ministry. On Wednesday, we saw Jesus being anointed by an old woman as she sat in Peter's home, and then this woman came and anointed him. On Thursday is a very important day. We call it Monday Thursday. And here we see Jesus commissioning what we would call the first Holy Communion, the commissioning of his body and his blood as elements of communion. So that's when he served his disciples bread and wine to signify his body and his blood, which is sacrificed for our salvation. And then on Friday, we see the cross. Actually, when you look at all those days, each day has an icon. Like on Palm Sunday, were the palms. And on Monday, the cleaning. On Wednesday, the anointment. On Thursday, bread and wine, or body and blood. On Friday is the cross. And that is our power as Christians. It is the power. In 1 Corinthians, it talks about, for us, it is the power of salvation. So we see the cross on which he was hung. So, and then on Saturday, he was in the tomb, he was buried. And then on Sunday, like we saw yesterday, that's the resurrection, the empty tomb. Empty. People go to Jerusalem as tourists, but the tomb is empty. And the biggest word for Easter is victory. Jesus overcame the cross, he overcame death, he overcame the tomb, because the tomb is empty up to today. When you go there, it is empty. And that is our message. That is our confidence. That if he was still in the tomb, I think the scenario and the circumstances would be different today.
He wouldn't have had victory over death.
I'm sure.
Yes.
We would be talking about other things. But because he rose from the dead, because the tomb is empty, that's victory. And that same victory with which Jesus rose from the dead, he shares with us. We can be victors because of him being a victor. And when you read 1 John chapter 5 verse 5, and who is an overcomer? Who overcomes the world? He who believes that Jesus is the Son of God. So those are the coherence of activities from Easter, from Palm Sunday up to Sunday yesterday. Now you are talking about Easter Monday. Now Easter Monday is mainly a public holiday, but there's still an activity which we teach what happened on Easter Monday. Now Easter Monday, the next 40 days from yesterday, Jesus is going to manifest, or he manifested himself with the different people. He started with Mary and the disciples. Now there were the two men who were walking to Emmaus, then the people, the fishermen, and many others. Now those 40 days, Jesus manifested himself to prove that he rose. Because even after he rose, there were many people who didn't believe it. They are saying, no, that is propaganda.
Someone removed the tomb and stole the body.
The disciples stole the body. But the next 40 days, Jesus went around to prove that he rose from the dead. So actually, there are about 7 proofs to show that Jesus rose again from the dead. One of it is that the 40 days that he spent manifesting himself to different people, talking to people, allowing people even to touch his body, like Thomas, that you bring
the day of the Pentecost.
Yes, you come and see, you touch, you hear. So this is important also for us. Much as the public holiday is secular, some people call it a bank holiday, but it is for us to continue to teach people that he actually rose from the dead.
Well, the sequential explanation of these days, now viewer, you're well versed and get the meaning of why each of the days is very significant in the Christian faith. Reverend, looking at COVID, times have really been hard.
It has been.
Usually we also know that maybe the church has not been able to do certain things that it was always previously able to do. How was Easter, looking at in terms of how the church was prepared, taking a look at St. Andrews, for example, where you are the main leader of the faithful there, how did COVID in any way disorganize Easter?
One way is that, first of all, we are given 200 people for each sanctuary. Of course, St. Andrews has a little bit of an advantage because we have a gallery. Actually, when they were allowing us to use our church, the ministry officials who came to us allowed us to use the lower part for 200 and then the upper one also 200, because these were like 2 sanctuaries. But still, we couldn't have all our, like, about over 1,000 people who come to St. Andrews.
Under normal circumstances,
yes.
You have about 1,000?
Even more.
Oh, I didn't know Ugandans still that much of. And how many services do you have?
We have 4 services.
Okay.
Yes, we have 4 services. At 7:30, at 9:30, at 11:30, and at 2. Yes, there are 2 English services, 1 Luganda service, and 1 Runyara Chitara service. Now, the other issue the other point that we couldn't do, we couldn't have the children. Because the children were prohibited to come to church. So that is a limitation. So actually those 2.
Actually, in his Easter sermon, the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda mentioned that.
Yes.
That they should, he praised the government should allow children attend Sunday school, come in and join prayers because they're really missing out. And also practically, still I've seen a few parents sneaking kids.
Yes. Actually, what we do
the case with St. Andrews.
At St. Andrews, what we do, when they come, we put them into a separate place. We don't mix them with the adults. We put them in a separate place, but they attended too. They attended too. We have a Sunday school teacher who attends to these children. Now, coming with that is the expense of the SOPs. You have to have sanitizers, you have to have guns, you have to space. So all that's a cost, which otherwise we wouldn't be expending if COVID was not there. And also, this wonderful attire that has been attached to us, the mask. You have to have the mask, even in the service. And that's very important. But you see, with the mask, sometimes you may even pass somebody not recognizing him because of the mask.
That you want to recognize, greet, and know how, as a good shepherd, how the people are.
And also, like the usual Easter. They just be hugging, shaking hands, talking. After, after the service.
When you come to church, let's wish peace. Hug your brother. Ask them. That's really interactive time of church.
And the expectation of the Christians, like they want that personal touch with their priest, with their shepherd, but that wasn't. Like, we always had the distance. Keep a distance. Yes, you wave, or you greet by elbows. Yes. So those were limitations, but there was always a way out. So for me and for us, we are a team of 4 priests, actually 5 priests in St. Andrews. So there was always a way. We had the services. We even had Holy Communion. But again, spaced, yes, distance. And we had the services, the 4, as we always have had. And so, in spite of COVID, there was. But also, to thank God, as I said in the beginning, that last year we were at home. This year, we were in our churches.
What has been the turn-up during this Easter? We usually see everybody who sometimes may not even be a frequent churchgoer,
yes,
but they
still come.
They come on this special day.
Yeah.
What has been this year's turn-up? Has it been as expected? Yes, you could talk about the numbers you have, but still, did we see people come up in huge numbers, fair to meet your deadline?
Yes.
The number that, or was it a low attendance?
No. It was attendance to our satisfaction. Of course, there are limitations, as I said, the children and people above 68. Yeah, those one were also cautioned not to come. But all in all, our attendance was good. And remember, there was a rain in the morning, but still, people came in big numbers, much as we spaced them, but they still came.
When you read the book of Romans, that is Romans chapter 8, verse 28, it says, all things happen for the good of those that love God and those whom he has called according to his purpose. Therefore, Reverend Miwanda, are there things you can look at and say, well, this is a blessing and God had a purpose, as we looked at celebrating Easter amidst COVID-19?
Yes. Number one is the use of social media for the gospel. I think we used to do it, to post things for our parishioners through WhatsApp and so on. But COVID has taught us that there is another avenue that can be used to communicate the gospel. Secondly, all our services have been live streamed. So they have been, people have been watching and following the services. Or even, you can even attend service or listen to the service after the real time, like 10, but you can watch it maybe in the evening and so on. So the use of social media, the use of media, the use of technology to communicate the gospel is eminent during this time. So we cannot afford to be reluctant again with these gadgets. We are using them. Secondly, the COVID has taught us the importance of family and community. So that you use your phone to call. How are you? In the usual times, you may not. But because you have not seen him over the week, over the month, Now, we know we miss it, so we value it. If we didn't miss it, if we didn't value it, we wouldn't miss it. So I think COVID has taught us to value the issue of unity, the issue of family, the issue of community, the issue of friendship and contact, because that contact was not there. The other thing it has taught us is care, to care for people. Of course, again, with limitations or within the SOPs, because they are people who lost their jobs, people whose families became dysfunctional. But throughout this time, the church has brought up avenues and ways of reaching these people, which otherwise we would take for granted. Who cares? So I think COVID came to sometimes to awaken us. Don't sleep. Use other ways of doing things, what we call the new norms. There are other possibilities to do ministry. So for me, I think that's what one thing, like the verse said, that he does all. Every circumstance can be used. There is some good in every circumstance, however trivial it would be.
Let's look at the financial element, where of course we know one of the biggest challenges that COVID has posed, away from the death and of course the disease, is high levels of poverty, where a couple of people have lost their jobs, a couple of people, even businesses, sometimes sales are so low. And we remember that the work of God thrives so much on the giving of Christians. At this time of COVID-19, how has the church sailed through this trying moment?
I have to say it was very, it's a big issue. However, we thank our parishioners, our congregations, because we taught them and we encouraged them to use either mobile money or use the bank account to post their tithes, their offertory, to support the work. Of course, I know that the ministers or the priests, we had to cut their salaries because the income was just not there, or it was there but limited. And there were things that were ongoing, like the maintenance of the church, the security of the church, the electricity, the water. These had to go on anyway, in spite of the lockdown. But I have to say, our Christians at St. Andrews have been very faithful, so that even those who did not come through the conventional way of giving into the basket, they posted, they banked, they supported us as clergy, they supported the work. There are Christians who installed all the things, the sanitary things for sanitizers and so on. There are people who gave money to clean all the church. There are people who paid the electricity bills, the water bills. That was so encouraging. But now, from the records, I see that we are coming out of it. People are giving generously, and people are committed to support the ministry through their giving. So we thank God, and I thank God for our people at St. Andrews. I have to say, I say this on behalf of the team. We have a team, as I said, of 4 people who are supporting, who are upholding the work. So they have been giving. It's not yet to 100%, but it is much better considering the situation.
Reverend, what was your message of Easter amidst COVID-19? Because we know this is a trying moment, and maybe we think the messages may differ from what it was if we didn't have COVID-19.
Number one was to thank God that the impossible was made possible. For example, the church were opened. Secondly, during COVID, we are praying for a cure or a vaccine. And now the vaccine is there. So that was a point to thank God. Thirdly, our main message at St. Andrews was the living hope. Jesus as the living hope. That we have seen how the world can fail us. We have seen how situations could fail us. The things that we own, how they fail us. But the only one who can't fail us, in whom we can have hope and lean, is Jesus Christ. Because even when you look at the circumstances of the disciples, they had given up. Actually, for Simon Peter even said, like we will see in this week, he said, I'm going back fishing. When you see the two men who were walking to Emmaus, they were walking frustrated, given up, and he came and walked with them. So we see that this Jesus is our hope. And I would like to tell viewers on this TV that our hope is Jesus Christ. And I would like to direct everyone and introduce everyone to this wonderful man, Jesus Christ, our hope. You remember when in Mark chapter 16, when the women were going to the tomb, they were worried. Who will remove? And it was a big stone.
Who is going to roll it?
When COVID started, that's what we thought. Who will manage this COVID? Who will take away this COVID? But Jesus is doing it. And he has done it. Now we have a vaccine. Actually, we encouraged our parishioners. For me, I already got mine. Already 3 weeks ago, I got mine. So I'm encouraging people, go for the vaccination. Because that's what we prayed for. If we don't, we will be like the disciples. Jesus told them, I will come, I will go with you, I will be with you, but I will die and rise in 3 days. But when it happened, they doubted. Some of them scorned it. So we prayed for the vaccine. Now it is there, and now I hear people are making a lot of fuss around it. That's what we prayed for. That is Jesus. That's what he does. Like he rose as a miracle, like we have had the vaccine as a miracle. We have had people being discharged from the hospitals. My wife is a medical person. She tells me now the COVID areas, they are very few people. That is what God does. That is the victory with which Jesus rose, and that's the victory that I'm saying that sorry, our Jesus can manage COVID. He will heal people. Of course, we are sorry there are people who have gone through COVID, but we who have survived, we need to thank God for the victory of the vaccine, for the victory of our Ministry of Health, for the victory of our medical workers, what they have done, for the victory of the government, what it has done. We need to thank God. That is our hope.
Our hope is in Jesus Christ, and like Reverend Miwanda said, we prayed for a vaccine. The vaccine is now in Uganda. So for those categories, please do not mess with an answered prayer. Yeah. Let's embrace vaccination. But Reverend, just on a lighter note, the Bible says that gospel has the power to transform. When we look at Uganda today, recently we saw a young man who takes pride in killing. We've seen what is happening in this country. Our motto is for God and my country. Is it you that are not doing much? What is happening that power of transformation of the gospel is not being evidently seen in the works and actions of a number of Ugandans?
My brother, like in the times of the Bible and the beginning of the church, we had all these categories. There were people who believed, there were people who experienced the transformational powers of the gospel, but there were also those who didn't. Like the scribes, the Sadducees, they didn't believe it. So even in our times, we still have those people. But the challenge is what you have stated, that is it that the church has not done its work, or is it that the people are just stubborn? I think it's two-way. I think for me, this time is a time for me to be candid, to be robust, to be vigilant as a preacher, as a priest, to go out and tell people that there is a Jesus who can transform. This actually, in this week after Easter, this is what we should tell people, that there is a Jesus who died and rose from the dead, and that Jesus, you can share the victory with which he rose, and you can be a winner. You can be a victor. That brother of mine who I also saw on TV with the tears, he needs the gospel. He has to be reached. And it's us to reach him and encourage him that he can be forgiven. I always think about Judas, because Judas didn't repent. But if he did, I'm sure he would be forgiven. Look at Peter. He denied Jesus thrice. But when he turned in tears of repentance, he was forgiven. So,
and Jesus just asked, do you love me?
And he commissioned him. So I would like to say to people who listen to us and who watch us, it is possible for you to be forgiven. It is possible for you to be transformed. Just believe. As I said in 1 John chapter 5, verse 5, who is the overcomer? Who can overcome the world? He who believes that Jesus is the Son of God. So even that brother who enjoys killing people, he can be transformed if he believes that Jesus is the Son of God. Because that's what I did. And I was transformed. I wouldn't be like this. Actually, I would be possibly alive, but in different form. But I thank God that I believed that Jesus is the Son of God, and he transformed me. He forgave my sins. He changed my course of direction. He changed my purpose. So that what happened to me on the 27th of July 1980 can happen to anyone else if he believes.
Well, Reverend, time is not so much on our side, but we will have your last remarks. And of course, factoring in the fact that we are in a time of mourning and grief following the loss of the Bishop of the Catholic Church in Uganda, that is Priyan Chizitoranga.
That's very sorry, very sad. I was in Masaka. It found me in Masaka. I was at a burial. And when I switched on my phone, that was the first message that came up. I want to feel sorry with my brothers, the Catholic Church, about the loss of such an important person, an icon of the Catholic Church, an icon of Uganda, who we lost. However, for me, it is a point of cross-examination and preparation. Like in Matthew chapter 24, verse 44, Jesus will come anytime without even warning us. So for us to be ready, to be prepared, that's number one. Let us be prepared. Secondly, the time that God has given you on earth, in any sphere where he has placed you, use it and use it well. Use it and use it well. I want to believe that our spiritual leader, he used his time and he used it well. Wherever he was, he preached the word. Wherever he was posted, like yesterday they showed us his journey and the legacy that he left wherever he was. So wherever you have been placed, do God's work and do it properly, faithfully, like he did. Otherwise, we are sorry about the loss. He was young, 67, 60 years. That was still young.
760.
Yes, we would have him more and would get a lot more from him. But that is God. Anytime, anywhere, he can take you. But those of us who are remaining, let's do our work. We are sorry for our brothers and sisters, but let's do our work.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Reverend Canon Justus Miwanda from St. Andrew's, Bukoto, for having found time. And we've been looking at celebrating Easter amidst COVID-19. So much, I believe, you've learned, and so much more so on why we celebrate and its relevancy. While we're still in celebration mode, please, let's celebrate the godly way.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Let's celebrate the godly way and stay within the confines of the law. I'll leave you with Ruben Pima Kasera Chibirango to take you through, that is sports updates. Later, Jagenda Semakula will take you through Good Morning Uganda Extra. God bless you Remember, COVID is still around, and whatever situation, please perfect the standard operating procedures. And those that qualify all the categories for the vaccination, Reverend has told us we prayed for a vaccine, and a vaccine is an answered prayer. So let's not mess with our answered prayer. Take that vaccination, take that jab. God bless you. Till tomorrow.
Thank you.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
The day the world stopped was the day we found where to go. From now on, we are not going to leave anything on our plates, because we've learned to savor the moments that were always there, and they never tasted this good.
Enjoy great value from Airtel with the all-new My Pakalast combo offers. We have customized especially for you the best deals on minutes, data, and SMS with our 3-in-1 My Pakalast combo to give you the best value as you stay in touch with friends and family. To activate My Pakalast voice combo, dial *100*2*1# to get started.